I got a question I gotta ask. Am I weird? Am I the only one who does this right? Am I the only one who studies the credits of a movie or a game or a TV show just to see, how things transpire? Because you have games that get pushed back like by years or by months, or you have projects that get shut down and they become something else. And for the most part, and again, the exact same projects are from companies that have been through layoffs after layoffs after layoffs, right? But they still pump the product out, and you see just this Bible of, say, executive producers, or this Bible of, like, coders or of art designers, and it's like, well, how many of them were there for a little bit, there from the tippy tip beginning, only to be switched out by others? Like, and this is what happened with Baldur's Gate 3, right? For the first two acts, they had the original people, but then the third act came along, and they have just a completely different set of people working on it. And you could tell because the third act was buggy when the game first came out. Now they eventually fixed it, but it was pretty fucking buggy. And now we know is because the original people that started the project, I don't think a single person was there when the project was finished. And when the people that come in had to pick up the slack, it's what happened. It's why what happened with Naughty Dog and The Last of Us 2, right? Like, Naughty Dog had the worst turnover rate. Like, it's worse than most, like, retail positions or, like, bartending positions or, like, fast food positions. And the point of them being to work temporarily. But, and I mean, the game somehow was good. Like, it functioned, which it was the bare minimum. But and now, so I'm looking at the credits of The Boys, and I see they have how many executive producers? You have one, two right here, which were the execs. But then you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 executive producers. What in the fuck? Like, Stargate had like two? Or like Battlestar Galactica had like one, maybe two executive producers at a time? And, well, Star Wars, at least the later trilogies, had three completely different execs with three completely different views of Star Wars, which is why the last trilogies were all over the fucking place. Like, why can't we just have one or two people with a vision and just flagship the project? Why do we need what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. What the fuck do 14 executive producers, like, is this a committee? Like, is this movie being made by committee? Like, what the fuck's happening? And I even see this in the show, and, well, I have to spoil it to get into it. Right? So, spoilers, right? Apparently Frenchie is a homosexual, which makes no sense because they spent the whole last third season building up the relationship of Frenchie and Kimiko, right? And it wasn't particularly just pure sexual, like they legitimately cared for each other because they both came from a tragic past, right? But then out of nowhere, he's sleeping with this guy, this random guy, and I know what they're trying to set up. because it's very on the nose. Like, they don't try to be subtle about it. But it's like the homosexual jump scare out of nowhere. And again, I wouldn't care if they would have set that relationship up from the third season, but they didn't. Like, they drop it just out of nowhere. And it makes me think that the decision was, again, made by committee to make him a homosexual, make him gay. Like, they inject the gay into this character. And again, I don't watch The Boys just to see two homosexuals make out. I watch The Boys to see how things pan out with the villain and the good guy. Well, no one's really the good guys against the superheroes and the superhero hunters. Alright, that's the point of The Boys, right? It's, the superheroes are just douchebags that do not take responsibility for their actions and legitimately believe they're better than just the ordinary humans, right? And you have this group of just humans, and I guess there's like two technical superheroes, Starlight and Kimiko, and later on two more. Like, just human beings working against these superheroes, to get justice. And that puts you on the edge of your seat because the hero hunters, I'm calling them, are at a disadvantage because, again, they're just human beings. But now I don't really know. Like, Homelander's still an amazing supervillain, right? And they try so hard to make him unlikable, but people like him they try so hard to make his character seem creepy and weird. But people like him because he's just a good villain. Like, he's a villain that you want to see get his comeuppance. And it's the same thing with Soldier Boy at the end of 3. Like, people liked Soldier Boy because, again, and I already made a video about him, but there's just a lot of likable characteristics about him. But there's just the season 4 is just cringe, right? Like, the original intent of The Boys is still there, which is why I'm watching and enjoying it. But there's no subtlety. It's all just on the nose, and I'm assuming this is, I don't know if this is the last season or the season after this, but there's just this one scene, and it's just goofy, where this guy's like, oh, where are the children in the basement? And the guy's like, we don't have a basement. And the guy pulls out a gun, and it's like, well, that's totally not the Pizzagate situation. Like, it's very, very, very subtle. Very subtle of you. And again, I still like The Boys as a universe because Vought, which is the superhero company, it uses both ideologies. It doesn't matter if you're left wing or right wing, fringe, minority, left or right. Like, they use both ideologies to propagate themselves, and it absolutely proves how politicians actually act in situations. Now, in this case, Vought is, I guess, both a political pundit and a company. But it just shows, that's absolutely how it works. And again, it says it's satirical, right? But, I mean, there's a lot of things that are like, that definitely happens. And it's also from the books. Now, this is the one time I believed this adaptation is better than the comics, better than the source material. Not that every change that they made is a good one, but again, spoilers, but in the comics, technically anybody could be a superhero, but the way they're dealing with it in the TV show is just a little better. A little better. But anyway, back on this. Like, again, whenever you have a game or a TV show or a movie that's been pushed back or had the original situate, like the original idea, be changed. Not just study the fucking credits like it's a fucking rap album, right? Study that shit like it's the dictionary and see at what point it happened. Like, how many people have worked on this? How many hands have touched it? Right? And once you do that, it's not a conclusive method, but you can kind of see. Because again, if it's like The Boys, which is effectively being written by committee, like, it's almost guaranteed that things will change, things will be added, things will be removed, things will be, you know, changed upon. Because again, if you have just 14, 15, 16 executive producers, things are going to change, and I don't think that's required. Like, you know, you should just keep the original intent of the show, not add all these little things that again add nothing to the world itself, but the things you add just to, I don't know, push a political point, or try to impose what you think the consumer or what you think the viewer is supposed to think. Like that just never works. Like, people don't like being told, "Oh, hey, this is how you are supposed to think about this character, and if you do not, there's something wrong with you." And it's like, well, no, I do think differently. Again, that the artist's subjective argument is absolutely in play here, but again, people with an ideology will use that argument, but they know exactly what to change in art to make it not appeal to anybody. Like, the same people that use the artist's subjective argument for Star Wars, it's like, well, they knew exactly what subjective thing to change to make sure objectively nobody watched it, you know? And now it's an objective flaw. Like, people would rather watch YouTuber shit on Star Wars than actually watch the shows themselves. Like, I'm half tempted to just watch Star Wars The Acolyte just to revel in the cringe. And obviously, I'm absolutely not going to get Disney Plus. You know, I have my ways, wink, wink. I mean, I didn't say anything. But, you know, just look at the credits just for a little bit. Like, look at executive producer, look at executive other things, supervisors, look at how many devs or how many artists were on, and just, you know, you can, if there's a lot of executive producers and a lot of, say, like, the devs, then you can kind of see why, say, this project was pushed back or in development hell, or why the game's buggy, broken, and there's other reasons why the game's going to be buggy and broken. I'm gonna make it that its own video, right? But apparently they're fucking with the code in games. You know, the thing that no one actually sees. They're trying to fuck with that, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me? But anyway, that's about all I gotta say about this. Peace.